Please introduce yourselves for the round table.
I am Andrew, also known in Yearman as Classic Gamer 92.
I'm Corey. That's not my real name. It's Cory, but I prefer Corey. I prefer that name better. So yeah.
My name is Gabriel Galway. I am just that.
Question 1. Should more games be remade, or should more games be remastered? Today we have games like Spyro Reignited, Crash Bandicoot Insane, Trilogy, and the upcoming Resident Evil 2 remake that are completely remaking the game from scratch. And as they always look amazing, you can't really say they're the same games. So the question becomes, should we focus on having the old code upgraded, or should we be remaking these games completely from scratch?
I think it kind of depends. Personally, I think if they took classic games such as we've seen with Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and gave them a full modern look to them, because I always wanted to see that with the Sonic Adventure games. So personally, I think I prefer that a lot more. But also occasionally have the classic collection. Maybe even add an option that switches what Halo did, that switches between the classic graphics and the updated graphics.
Well, that depends. I think it's sort of like a yes or no kind of answer. Yes, because, well, one, the Crash Bandicoot games, Naughty Dog didn't have any rights to the original Crash games anymore. They don't really do Crash anymore. So obviously, Vicarious Visions, who has had experience with Crash, had to make their own game. And I think they did a pretty good job at that. It should only be for I wouldn't mind if it started from scratch, just as long as it has some of the original people who worked on it, and if the other studio has had involvement with the other games before, like Crash had.
I think games should be both. I think both should happen as equally. I think there's a value to remastering and there's a value to remaking. For example, a game that's old that runs on a bad, crummy engine, I would like the option to play it brand new, just like with Spyro or Crash Bandicoot.
If one is remaking a game from scratch anyways, they could easily make the argument that you could and should add some new features to enhance the game in some way. But does that ruin the experience?
I think that they should just keep it the same way, in my opinion. I mean, if it's additions that no one asked for. But some additions should be let in, let's say you wanted to add, something to improve something. Someone complained about this certain type in the game that was, frustrating, the controls and everything. That's the only thing that I think should be approved. But try to keep as close to the original content as possible.
That depends. If there's a reason for it, yes. But if there isn't any, no. It's simple as that. If you added something like DLCs or microtransactions, that's not gonna make it any better, obviously. For example, what was the name of that game? There are some games that were not really remastered properly. For example, the Silent Hill games. And from what I've heard, I've never actually played the games, but from what I heard, they had a really bad reception. I believe it has something to do with the graphics or something like that.
I think it really depends. If the game was criticized for lacking a certain feature and you have the power to add it, and you know the game will be better with that feature, definitely. But if you're adding it just for the sake of adding it, don't bother, it's stupid.
Some games have really annoying parts to them, and if one is remaking the game from scratch anyways, one could make the argument that to make the experience more enjoyable for everyone, the parts that people generally didn't like should be removed. On the other hand, the game without those parts could be considered an impure experience. Should we remove annoying parts of games?
Personally, I think it should be optional. If someone wants to show them this is what we have to go through, you can easily turn on and off it. I think it should be optional, in my opinion.
Yes. because that lowers the enjoyment of the gamer and the game itself, and it would just make you that would just be really annoying as hell, like I said.
That is interesting. Honestly, I'm not really sure how I feel about this one. I could see it going either way. Like, a huge example is The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, where you're going for the Triforces. That part was super annoying and turned a lot of people off of the game originally. And I even admit the game is better without it, so I guess I'd say if the part is something that no one's going to find fun, definitely.
How old should a game be before it is remade?
I'd say at least 2 console generations apart. Like, for example, we're on the PS4 console generation now, so it should be at least PS2. Because then it has enough quality differences that remaking it makes sense. I think remaking something on the PS4 that was on the PS3, like completely remaking The Last of Us, for example, would be silly because the game looks good enough to work as is.
What games would you like to see remade?
Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and the Sly Cooper trilogy.
Simpsons Hit and Run, the Sonic Adventure games, Sonic Heroes, and SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom.